Throughout his 19-year professional football career, Luis Suarez has had many controversies. Most of these things the average footballer would never be able to come back from, but Suarez always did, and he came back better. And when you take a look back on his career, his legacy won't be those controversies, those incidents. When you look back on Suarez's career, you'll take a look at the clubs he played for, the trophies he won, the goals he scored, and just a legacy of brilliance. In the early years of Luis Suarez's life, him and his family grew up in the city of Sao Tau, but he wouldn't stay there long, as at the age of 7, him and his family, his parents and his 6 brothers would move to the capital, Montevideo. He would play for local teams in the city, and it wasn't until he was 14 years of age until he was signed for the Nacional Youth Academy. During a youth match at the age of 16, Suarez headbutted a referee after being frustrated with a red card. 2 years after that headbutt, in May of 2005, Suarez would make his Nacional debut at the age of 18, coming on as a substitute in the Copa Libertadores. He would score his first goal for Nacional a couple months later in September of 2005. During that season, he would score 9 more goals, 10 in total in 27 matches, helping Nacional win the Uruguayan league. Simultaneously, while Suarez was playing brilliantly for Nacional, Groningen of the Netherlands had sent scouts out to Uruguay to watch a Nacional player that wasn't Luis Suarez. But after the scouts had watched the local derby between Nacional and Defensor, they realised how good Suarez could be, as he won a penalty, scored that penalty and also scored another in the match, and that was enough to convince the Dutch side to pay €800,000 to bring him to Europe. Moving to Groningen would always be difficult for Luis Suarez because he didn't speak English and he didn't speak Dutch, so it did take him a bit of time to adjust to his new club. But once he eventually got settled, he was back to his same old antics, and that is of course goal scoring, but also disciplinary issues. In the space of 5 games in January of 2007, Luis Suarez scored 4 goals, but also got 3 yellow cards and 1 red card. Suarez would finish the season with 11 goals across all competitions. It looks like he had finally settled into life at Groningen, and that would be the perfect time to move clubs again. This time he wouldn't leave the country though, he would join Ajax. They clearly saw the potential because they would pay €7.5 million for him in August of 2007. Suarez had something to prove, a big price tag was paid, and he would definitely live up to expectation. He made his debut in a Champions League qualifier versus Slavia Prague and would score in his Eredivisie debut, and then in his home debut at the Johan Cruyff Arena he would score 2 goals. Ultimately Ajax would finish the season in second, but Suarez would finish the season with 17 goals in the league, an impressive first season at the club for a 20-year-old. In his second season, Ajax coach Marco van Basten noted that Suarez played an important role in many of Ajax's goals, but van Basten was also upset by the number of yellow cards Suarez had received. In the 08-09 season, Suarez would pick up a total of 12 yellow cards. He would be suspended because of the amount, but missing one match didn't affect his goal scoring numbers because he played 43 times in all competitions, scored 28 goals and got 19 assists. Ajax would again finish second in the Eredivisie, and Suarez would finish second in the Golden Boot race. Before the beginning of the 2009-2010 season, a lot of key players had left Ajax, and because of this, Luis Suarez was appointed Ajax captain. Suarez would justify the decision of making him captain because by the end of the season he was the Eredivisie top scorer, scoring 35 goals in 33 matches and had 49 goals across all competitions. He was named Ajax Player of the Year for the 2nd year running and was also named Dutch Footballer of the Year. Suarez was in incredible form going into his first World Cup, and there was no doubt he would be a key player for Uruguay. He had scored 5 goals in qualification for the tournament, and this was his biggest chance yet to show what he could do on the world stage. In the group stages he started every match. He got 2 assists in a 3-0 win versus host South Africa, and he also scored the only goal in a win versus Mexico as Uruguay would get out of the group. Then in the round of 16, Uruguay would beat South Korea 2-1. Both of those goals would be scored by Suarez, and then in the quarterfinals Uruguay would face Ghana. The game would finish 1-1 in normal time, and it would go to extra time, and it looked like a game where Uruguay were the favourites. Ghana could actually do it. They were putting on a bit of pressure, and then in the 120th minute Ghana had a shot cleared off the line by Luis Suarez, not with his foot, not with his head, but with his hand. A moment that made the entirety of Africa, an entire continent, hate Luis Suarez. He was labelled a cheat, which technically really isn't true because yes, he did something that was illegal against the rules, but he was punished for it. Ghana got a penalty, Suarez was sent off, Ghana missed the penalty, the game would go to penalties, Ghana would miss more penalties, and Uruguay would go through to the World Cup semi-finals. And maybe had Suarez played that World Cup semi-final it would have been a different story, but he didn't, and history is history. Uruguay lost to the Netherlands 3-2, and that would be the end of their World Cup dream, at least for another 4 years. Shortly after the World Cup, Suarez would return to Ajax and score his 100th goal for the club, joining an elite group of players like Marco van Basten, Johan Cruyff and Dennis Bergkamp. It looked like Suarez was past all the abuse he had gotten from Ghana fans, and there would be no more controversies. No, he bit someone in November. It's a crazy thing to do on a football pitch. I mean, something you think you're only going to see once in your lifetime, but with Suarez it happens a couple more times. Obviously he would be sent off, he was also suspended, that would be the last match he would ever play for Ajax. Despite winning several titles, scoring over 100 goals, winning Dutch Player of the Year, that would be the last thing he would ever do for the club, because in January of 2011 he would join Liverpool for a fee of €26.5 million. A couple days later, Luis Suarez would make his debut coming off the bench versus Stoke City. He would score his first goal for Liverpool in front of the Kop. In total, in his first half season with Liverpool, he would score 4 goals in 13 matches and looked relatively impressive. He would then play in that summer's Copa America with Uruguay, scoring 4 goals and getting 2 assists in the tournament, being handed player of the tournament, and Uruguay would win the entire thing. It was a tournament without any controversies for Suarez, but of course it didn't last long, because in October of 2011, Suarez allegedly racially abused Patrice Evra and was handed a £40,000 fine along with a 7-match ban. In Liverpool and Man United's next meeting in February of 2012, Suarez refused to shake Patrice Evra's hand. Both Suarez and Kenny Dalglish would later be forced to apologise. Also that season, Suarez was banned for 1 match for making an obscene gesture towards Fulham fans. The season as a whole, Suarez wasn't at his brilliant best. He only scored 11 league goals, but he did win his first trophy with Liverpool winning the League Cup. The 12-13 season was where Suarez arrived at Liverpool. He scored a total of 30 goals across all competitions, including a hat-trick versus Norwich at the start of the season. He was second top goal scorer in the Premier League, he was second in the PFA Player of the Year vote, and he was voted Liverpool's Player of the Year. It was a brilliant season until he bit someone again. In April of 2013, in a 2-2 draw with Chelsea, Suarez bit Branislav Ivanovic. This time, however, the referee didn't notice, and Suarez continued and would end up scoring a late equaliser in the match. However, obviously looking back on the game, Suarez was eventually suspended. He was initially given a 3-game ban, but then it was moved up to a 10-game ban. Then at the end of the season, Suarez was looking for a move away from Liverpool because they had failed to qualify for the Champions League. Liverpool were looking for anything above £40 million, and famously Arsenal bid £40 million plus £1 extra. Liverpool would reject that. Suarez would end up staying for another season. The 13-14 season, Liverpool were incredible to watch because their defence was absolutely terrible, but their attack was amazing. You had Daniel Sturridge, Felipe Coutinho, Steven Gerrard was still around, and of course the main man, Luis Suarez. 31 goals in the Premier League along with 13 assists. He won the Golden Boot along with the European Golden Shoe, and it looked like Liverpool would certainly win the Premier League. And then Steven Gerrard slipped. Liverpool bottled a lead to Crystal Palace. Suarez cried, and Man City won the title. And that was the end of Suarez's Liverpool career. At the 2014 World Cup in Brazil, Suarez bit someone again for the final time. As far as we know, Suarez bit Chiellini and was subsequently suspended until October. That suspension wouldn't be for Liverpool though, it would be for Barcelona, as he agreed to join the club on the 11th of July 2014 for a fee of £64.98 million. Suarez would make his first appearance for Barcelona in his start versus Real Madrid. He would set up Neymar within 4 minutes, but he was subbed off in the second half and Barcelona would lose 3-1. Things would get slightly better from there because in all competitions he would score 25 goals, get 23 assists, and Barcelona would win a treble. Suarez would score in the Champions League final. And then in the 15-16 season, Suarez was arguably the best player on the planet because in all competitions he played 53 times, he scored 59 goals and got 24 assists, including 40 goals in 35 La Liga matches. He was competing with the likes of Lionel Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo and yet still won the European Golden Shoe for the second time. On 3 separate occasions that season, Suarez scored 4 goals in 1 match. The following season, the 16-17 season, Barcelona would continue to score goals and continue to win trophies. Suarez was incredible again, 37 goals and 16 assists in all competitions. The attacking trio of Messi, Suarez, Neymar, MSN scored a total of 111 goals in their final campaign together. I can keep telling you about the amount of seasons Suarez scored loads of goals for Barcelona. They won the league of Copa del Rey, but I won't. I'll just summarise. 283 games, 195 goals and 113 assists. While he was at Barcelona, he was by far and away the best striker on the planet. There wasn't a conversation. And had there been no Messi, no Ronaldo, this guy would have several Ballon d'Ors. It would have been such a great career for Barcelona, it would end in such a terrible way. His last goal for the club would be Barcelona's second in an 8-2 defeat to Bayern Munich, the club's biggest defeat in almost 70 years, and it would cap off the first trophyless season in over 10. In the following days of that defeat to Bayern Munich, Ronald Koeman, over a quick phone call, told Suarez he was not in his plans, and after a failed move to Juventus, Suarez would join Diego Simeone at Atletico Madrid. So after Suarez being told to leave Barcelona, they didn't want him anymore. He joins one of their rivals, and what does he do? He scores 21 goals in the Liga and helps Atletico Madrid win the league for the first time in 7 years. It felt like all Suarez wanted to do that season was get back at Barcelona because he didn't score in the Champions League, didn't score in the Copa del Rey, just scored 21 goals in the Liga and won Atleti the title. What I think he would have wanted that he didn't get though, he didn't score score against Barcelona, but he would do that the next season in a 2-0 win for Atletico Madrid, and then he would do a phone celebration mimicking the call Koeman gave Suarez, telling him he's out of his plans. That was definitely his highlight in the 21-22 season, because it definitely was slightly worse. 13 goals across all competitions. It would be his last at Atleti, as he would leave the club on a free transfer and would rejoin his boyhood club Nacional. Because of the way the Uruguayan football calendar works, Suarez joined halfway through the season, but he still played 14 games, got 8 goals and 3 assists, and helped Nacional win the Uruguayan Premier Division. He would then join Gremio at the start of 2023, and he would play 53 times in total for the club, scoring 26 goals and getting 17 assists. Although he would win no team trophy, he was awarded Brazilian Player of the Year in 2023. And now this year he's joined Inter Miami, where he's played 33 times, scored 22 goals and got 10 assists. Inter Miami are currently top of the Eastern Conference. I don't think that matters. I think it goes into like a playoff thing like other American sports. But anyway, I don't think his Inter Miami career is going to affect his legacy too much. That's why I skimmed over his stuff outside of Europe, because I think the most important things is what he did in Europe and how good of a player he was. Despite his many controversies, racially abusing Patrice Evra, denying Ghana their hopes and dreams in the World Cup, biting 3 different people, what I will think about when I talk about Suarez is him being the greatest striker that has ever played the game. And El Pistolero will not leave behind a legacy of controversy, but a legacy of brilliance.